This is Esperanza Tercero. This is week 5 video on the axial and appendicular skeleton. And so today we are going to go through several bones just to show you from the axial and appendicular sections. Okay, so on the skeleton, we start with the nasal bone, which is right there. And then we also have the sphenoid bone, which is in there. In there. Then we have the lacrimal bone, which is a little, so the indentation in here. And then we have the ethmoid bone, which is back there. So back there. The zygomatic, which is this here. We have the maxilla, which is just above, like, right here. We have the mandible, which is here. We have the frontal, of course, the bone, frontal bone here, section here. And then we have the vomer, which is this little thing here. Moving on to the posterior side, which would be looking at it from the back. So mandible bone here, back there. The occipital bone, which so the occipital bone, this one back here. Then we have the parietal, which is a side bone, one of the connecting skull bones. And then we have the temporal bone, which it's supposed to be this section here. From there, if we're looking at it from a side view, which is also known as the lateral view, we can go over the ethmoid. So the ethmoid bone would actually be in the front. So in there we see the marking. And then we have, of course, the frontal. We have the lacrimal, which is the indentation again. The mandible, which is this part here. Maxilla, which is the top part. The nasal, which is up here. The occipital, which is back here. We have the parietal, which is this one here. We have temporal, which, as we said earlier, here. And then the zygomatic, so this, like the cheekbone, I think. So zygomatic. And then if we were doing, so like, if we remove the skull and look inside, we would see the inferior part. So in here, so from here The ethmoid would be this here. The frontal being here. The occipital being back here. The parietal here. Oh, here. The sphenoid, it would be in here. And then the temporal should be on the back here. Yeah, so that's the inferior. And then, sorry, just looking through the pages. Okay, moving on to the vertebral column. So vertebral column. The atlas is the first one up here. That one is atlas. This is axis. Sorry. So atlas, axis, and then we have the cervical vertebrae. So the cervical vertebrae being, so right after that axis, it's like this here, and then from there the coccyx. So that would be this here, the tip, and then the lumbar vertebrae, which is the bottom, or towards the bottom of the spine. And then we have the sacrum, which is this part. And then we have the thoracic vertebrae, which is right after the cervical vertebrae. So it would be here, the midsection. Okay, and then moving to the front. So the sternum. We have the body of the sternum. We have the manubrium of the sternum, which is up here. We have true ribs, which are 1 through 7. Then we have false ribs, the 3. And then we have floating ribs, which are not connected to the sternum, right here. Then moving on to the appendicular skeleton, the clavicle. This is the clavicle. And then the scapula be this bone, the shoulder blade. This is the scapula. Then we have our humerus. It's here. And then, so we have radius, and we have the inner one is ulna. And then moving on to the, hold on. So then we move on to the hand. So on the hand, we have, so phalanges, then, yes, we can start there. Phalange, metacarpal. Then if we look at the really small ones, so this I learned, this little thing here, it's a sesamoid bone. And then from there